guys, so today's video is going to be all about my favorite must-have makeup brushes. I always get a lot of questions about my makeup in general, and I thought that this might be helpful for those of you who are looking for new brushes to try, or maybe you need new brushes or you just like trying new brushes. I always find these videos really helpful, so I'm gonna share my top go-to brushes. I have a ton of different tools in my collection, but these ones are the ones I always reach for. I use them every day. I find they're the most versatile, the easiest to use. I have a mixture of high-end, low-end, different brands, all sorts of things, so I really hope you guys find this helpful. If you do, give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, my name is Kristen. I would love for you guys to stick around and subscribe below. And let's just jump right in. So I want to start with eyeshadow brushes first, because for me, eyeshadow is one of the most exciting things about makeup. You can be the most creative with your eye looks, and depending on what you do, it can completely change your look and kind of just your whole makeup. I love it. I feel like eyeshadow is also one of the trickiest things to nail. It can be difficult, so I feel like eyeshadow brushes are crucial. First one for me is always a very fluffy, large crease brush. This one is a Morphe M441. They also have one just like this from MAC, so I will link everything below. I prefer a natural goat hair or a white tipped brush because I find they're a lot softer, they're a little bit more flexible, and they really kind of help blend and smoke out your eyeshadow. This brush is perfect for laying down your first kind of transition eyeshadow shade. It's the first step I always do, so I'll take a little bit of whatever color I'm using and I just buff it back and forth in the crease, blends the edges away, it makes it look seamless, it's smooth. And you don't have to work that hard with it. You can also use this for kind of blending your entire makeup look out. You can kind of work it on the crease a little bit. It's just a really nice kind of soft, flexible, fluffy brush. Next we have another crease brush. This is a little bit of a smaller, more dense crease brush. This particular one I have had for probably 10 years now. It's a MAC 217. And it's still going strong. The letters have rubbed off, but the brush itself is perfect. It's a little bit more densely packed, so you get a little bit more control. And what I use this for is applying a second or third color after I apply that first color. This is a little bit of a tighter application, so you can be more precise. Also purchased the Morphe version of it a couple months ago. This is the M433, which is very, very similar. I would say that the Morphe one is a little bit more fluffy. It's not quite as packed tightly as the MAC one, but they both still do a very similar job. So any kind of short, dense, white kind of goat hair crease brush I think is great. The next brush is a flat kind of shader brush, and I have two different styles. So for the longest time, I only used the MAC 239, which is more of a white goat hair. I also recently started using this one, which is more of a synthetic paddle brush, which is different but very similar as far as use goes. This is a MAC 242. Personally, I prefer the 239 for powder shadow, and I like the 242 for more cream or glitter or something like that, but I use both of them kind of interchangeably. I think either one is great. You could pick either one, just something that's a flat shader brush that you can really apply lid color with. Sometimes I'll smudge some shadow under my eye, in the inner corners. Things that you would think normally you'd need a more precise kind of pencil brush. These do the trick too, so you can kind of get multiple uses out of them, which is really nice. Another crease brush, I love the crease brushes. This is a MAC 224. This one has a lot of similarities to the Morphe M441, but the differences are the Morphe one is more tapered at the top, which is why I like it to put a transition color. You get a little bit more control with this. Whereas this one I find is very good for kind of blending out edges and just kind of sweeping color away. Typically use this after I've finished my eye look. I'll go back around the edges and really just blend everything out. Sometimes I use it as a highlight brush as well. I would be careful if you do that because it is very fluffy. But if you dust just a little bit of your highlight color, you can kind of sweep it on the brow bone. It's really nice to have just as an extra kind of cleanup brush. If I had to recommend one face brush for foundation, it would be this. This is from Real Techniques. I'm obsessed with this. I've talked about it so many times, but it's the perfect brush to apply foundation with. Just buffs it into your skin. It gives you great coverage. but it doesn't look streaky or cakey. There are a lot of other brands that make brushes like these. I prefer the Real Techniques one. I love it. I think it's like $8 and it does the job. Another kind of tool that I like for foundation and kind of blending everything out is the Real Techniques sponge. I've always been a big fan of the Beauty Blender, but I've been using this one the last couple months and I find I kind of gravitate towards it a little bit more now. So it's just very spongy. It does a nice job of blending everything out. It's very soft. It has like a slanted edge, so it's really nice for under the eyes or if you need to get on your lids or something. It cleans really well, which is nice. I just love it. And this one's also a lot more affordable. I think it's $5 or $6. So if you need a good sponge, I would definitely recommend this one. I have been a big fan of this blush brush for years. It's really like the only blush brush I actually use because it's just good. It's very tapered and kind of fluffy. You could probably use this for bronzer. It has a really nice kind of like dome shape, so you can kind of just sweep the color on and it looks very natural and kind of blended out. I think this one is also around $8, $8.99, so very affordable, really, really nice. I've had this one for probably 4 or 5 years and it still looks perfect as far as like the bristles go. The letters do rub off a little bit, but as far as like the brush itself, it's great. I have dry skin, so I don't typically apply a lot of powder to my face, but I like to have a powder brush on hand. Sometimes I feel like your makeup can kind of look just a little off and you might want to blend it all out or kind of blend everything together. So any kind of fluffy, like powdery brush like this I think is great. This particular one I would not actually recommend because it was very expensive and it's not worth the quality. This is a Dior powder brush. Over the years has shedded so many bristles. There's like bristles sticking out. It does a really nice job, but I think you could find a comparable brush from e.l.f. or somewhere from the drugstore that would be a lot more affordable. So I would definitely save on a powder brush. I also use this one for bronzing. So I kind of dust a little bit of bronzer like on my cheekbones and like my neck and stuff. And it's a good kind of like multi-use tool. So as far as contouring goes, this is my favorite brush. It is from the Sephora collection. They have amazing brushes as well. They are a little bit expensive, but they're very, very great quality. This is the 79 Pro Contour Brush. It's a very tapered, kind of smaller face brush. It's the perfect size and shape to really kind of cut out your cheekbones. Contouring can be a little bit tricky, but this one just puts it in the perfect spot. It blends it really well and it always looks great. I guess I should mention this. So I've had this brush for years and I've used it for a bunch of different things. This is another Sephora collection brush, the 56 Pro Flawless Airbrush. This is a foundation brush. I like this for kind of sweeping away powder for like baking. I use this to blend out like cream contour and stuff. It's just like another great multi-use tool. My last face brush is a highlighting brush. This is the Anastasia A23, which came out a couple years ago. It is a kind of two-toned goat hair brush. This is the perfect highlighting brush. It just fans out your highlight perfectly. It's very feathery and light. It just kind of dusts it on. And this one was more affordable for a high-end brand. I want to say it's around $25. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that the quality of the handle is that great for the price. I think that the bristles and everything are great. I haven't had a whole lot of shedding with this, but the handle itself is a little bit thin. I feel like sometimes I can feel it move, like the glue is loose. I feel like one day I'm gonna have to glue it back together because it's gonna come apart, but as far as like the brush part goes, it's great. I think it's great quality. I think the handle needs a little bit of work. It gets the job done. My last must-have is a little spoolie. I always use one of these before I apply any brow product and then after, and it kind of just helps shape them, make the product kind of distribute evenly. Definitely a must-have for me, and I would definitely recommend it. Alright, so those are my kind of like a go-to must-have makeup brushes. I have a lot of brushes and these are always the ones that I kind of gravitate towards, that I always use. So I wanted to share them with you guys. Also, I'd love to know what your favorite brushes are. If you have like different ones that you love, that you swear by, let me know in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here, and I will catch you guys very soon. Bye.